Oh, I don't have earphones on. I don't know where they are. Hold on. Let me get to the earphones. Take you off the speaker. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm in earphones. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, I do. Mhm. Okay. Mhm. Okay, we're good. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, Harlem. This is Harlem Network News coming to you live, and I am Terri Wisdom, the host for Harlem Network News. For those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, Harlem Network News is a new media platform that was created to assure that Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed. Knowledge is power, and in many occasions, the major networks do not cover what happens in our community, or if the information is covered, it is not exactly what happened. So that is why Harlem Network News was created. We started about the same time as the pandemic and COVID-19 began, and it's been quite a powerful journey. Today, we are basically going to be talking with Sister Iesha Sekou, who will join us shortly. And she is the CEO of Street Corner Resources here in Harlem, an organization that she began in 2005. So it just didn't happen when COVID started. And she has worked very closely to stop the gun violence here in Harlem, to stop the gang violence here in Harlem, and to really give some positive and creative alternatives for youth. We are also expecting our Assembly member, Reverend Al Taylor, to join us, who is also dedicated to stopping the violence as well, and has some programs that he will present. I do have here with me Dr. Jaquita Agby, and she will be doing our medical minutes as she does every Sunday. And we are very grateful for that, because in this time of the pandemic, and as we can see, numbers are rising across the country. We feel that we would be amiss if we did not have the medical moment, because we want to keep Harlem and the Harlems of the world alive. We want to keep the world alive. So we think it's very critical that our communities are informed. Today is a very significant day in our history. We always walk and talk in prayer, but we want to give honor and tribute. We have lost two of our great civil rights leaders, and in our traditions, we pay homage to our ancestors. It is very important. We know that our ancestors have paved the way for us, and we know that they are watching over us. So, as you know, we lost the Honorable John Robert Lewis of Congress, our civil rights activist. He was born February 21st, 1940, and he passed away July 17th, 2020. And another great civil rights leader who walked with him and Dr. Martin Luther King is Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian, who was born on July 30th, 1924, and passed away July 17th, 2020, on the same day. So it's a very significant time for us, and we must pick up the mantle and do all the things that they did, have the courage that they did. As the Honorable John Robert Lewis, our congressman, was known for causing good trouble. So we got to continue, and we got to keep causing some good trouble. So I'm just going to read a little bit to you because I think it's important that we honor our ancestors, important that we all be informed. And so I want to say that today we celebrate two men of moral courage, ethical excellence, and relentless diligence in making Black Lives Matter in the policies and practices of this country and the Honorable John Lewis and the Reverend C.T. Vivian. Like many of us, C.T. Vivian and John Lewis participated in a movement, a protest, and it changed their lives forever. For C.T. Vivian and John Lewis, a jail cell was as familiar as police officers' baton. For their human rights work, cops arrested these activist ministers more times than they cared to count and suffered several brutal beatings at the hands of law enforcement. These courageous human beings, now among our greatest ancestors, disrupted the status quo, commerce, business as usual, for years before anyone took notice. They were attacked, they were despised, and criticized relentlessly by mainstream society and their own people, but they persisted. Only in their latter years did they receive the honor due to them, including being awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Perseverance, tenacity, and determination, among other things, in this struggle link them to us. None of us are free until all of us are free. So we commit daily to the work of making Black Lives Matter in policy and practice, knowing our struggle for justice is a part of the same continuum of human rights struggle led by those before us. Thank you, John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, for being freedom fighters. Thank you for your service to our community, country, and world. We are winning. And this statement is from Black Lives Matter Global Network. So if everybody can just take a moment to reflect and make sure that you know who these great giants are, and make sure that you share it with as many people as possible. Each one, teach one. And on the subject of Black Lives Matter, I want to say that we had a horrific act happen here in New York City. Yesterday, or it was somewhere between yesterday and the day before, there were two people that poured black paint over the Black Lives Matter mural that was in front of the Trump Towers. I don't know the disposition, if they were arrested. I'm not sure what their mindset was, but I do believe that it was a Black man and a Black woman who did this egregious deed. However, pouring black paint on the mural that is painted in front of Trump Towers is one thing, but coming to Harlem, coming to our Mecca and pouring black paint over the mural that graced the corridor at Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard between 125th and 127th. That's another thing, okay? You have stepped over the boundaries. I'm not sure what that consciousness is about. And a black woman, Beverly Beauty, was at the helm of it. She had the indignation to put it up on YouTube and show what she was doing, telling people open paint cans, moving barricades, and rolling her car over it and taking red paint. Let's understand who we are and let's understand whose we are. Let's understand that the mural that was painted at Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard and 125th, that was funded, not by the mayor, okay? The one downtown at Trump Plaza, the one in front of the Supreme Court, that was funded by the city, okay? The mural up here was not funded by the city. It was funded by an organization which is primarily black women called Harlem Park to Park. They raised the money, okay? They hired the artists. The artists that painted that mural painstakingly for 3 days or 4 days are artists. There are Harlem artists. So for anyone to come, and we know that in any movement, there are always infiltrators, there are always Judases, but this is unacceptable. And this is the second act of destruction. The first act of destruction was 4,000 bikers who came with no notice of police or anything and rolled over the mural and it was repaired. But now this is a black woman and her cohorts coming to Harlem. Harlem is sacred ground. It is now and it always will be. It's the Mecca. So I want to send out the drumbeat and I want to send out the message that Beverly Beauty, you are out of order. You're out of order, okay? We don't do that to each other up here. Harlem, though there's a lot going on, is a sacred place, is sacred ground. So for you to come and do that in any name, and I heard you saying Jesus or something to that effect, you off base, you're off kilter. You've shown your face like, okay, this is what you can do. But what is that about? Do you really know what this was about? Who put you up to this? Were you paid? What's the deal? Okay, we're calling you out. Okay, you are not welcome in this community. You're not of this community, obviously, and you don't understand who we are and whose we are. So we're gonna pray for you, sister, because you need help. Okay, that's not what we do. Okay, these are critical times and there's a lot of stuff that is off from the president on down and up, okay? And in the wake of us losing our greats, this is what you do, and you do it at 11 o'clock at night and feel like you can roll that way? I don't think so, okay? You're already handled. That's all I can say. So without further ado, I am going to go to Dr. Jaquita Agby for our medical moments. And Dr. Jaquita, if you would fill us in. And obviously we have a lot going on, but we've always had a lot going on. We've had 400 years of the pandemic. We have had infiltrators in our community before, you know, when we were trying to run away to from slave trade. And there are those of us who told on us. So this is nothing new. We got this. So Dr. Jaquita Agby, without further ado, if you would.
Well, speaking of being out of line and, and not wanted, we definitely, Corona's still doing its thing. I actually just had a conversation with one of my girlfriends who's been in quarantine since it began because she had a baby. And for her, she went out just one time and she's like, I'm ready to live again. And so I see the impatience that's happening in the population where people, even though the virus is still spreading and the numbers are still rising, there's really like a call to get back to some kind of normalcy. And that's pretty much impossible at this point. Okay. The state of Florida has decided, and I'm sure this is going to happen throughout the United States, to not allow the children to go back to school physically, but to start in a virtual capacity, because it's just no sight of normalcy. And we have to just adjust to the times. And the only way for the virus to dissipate is for us to adjust in some way. Continue to wear a mask and wash our hands. I think people are forgetting. The virus, just knowledge on the virus is very important, because some people are still feeling like it's something like the flu. I've been hearing people say that it's nothing but the flu. It's just similar to the flu. And of course, we see in patients and the reports on it, it presents like the flu in some cases, but in other times you're ending with pneumonia and organ dysfunction. So, because it can affect any organ that it wants to affect. And we got to really keep that in mind, because it's something that has and can potentially kill more people. The national leadership is not showing much concern about what's really going on. And it's up to the states. Each state, each county are trying to figure out how to control the virus, how to do contact tracing, and use the budget that was given in March to continue on with the fight with Corona, because obviously the president looks like he does not want to release any more funding towards the virus, because he doesn't think it's something that's a threat. It's just a call today just to remind the people that are watching to continue to be vigilant, to be patient. And I know it's difficult for us all, but it's something that we have to do. Because it's a virus that will prey on us, right? It's preying on us because we are the host, and it preys on the fact when we become weak in the sense that we're not following protocol. That's how it's going to continue to spread.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you, Dr. Agby. You mentioned some of the updates that are happening in Florida. So you're saying that a decision has been made to not open the schools physically. How long are the schools going to be virtual, or is that going to be determined? Are the beaches still open? Restaurants, bars? What's happening with testing in Florida? If you could just share.
Well, right. So bars have not been selling alcohol. That was something they determined a couple of weeks ago, because it was the youth that were going out partying and drinking and just not following social distancing, even though, and it might be because of the alcohol. So they stopped that. The bars are still open, but they're not selling alcohol. Restaurants are still open, but there is, within my county, you have to wear a mask. Now it's by law. You want to come into a facility or institution, you have to come in with a mask, but they're still very much open. Gyms are still very much open, but if the numbers are going to continue to rise, they're going to stop the opening. Well, everything is pretty much open, so they're going to have to start closing back on things. As far as the schools are concerned, they're not sure about the date. Usually start second week of August. So they're looking either to start that day, which will be the 13th, or push it back a little bit. And then we're going to have a rollout. Just like the states had to reopen in different phases, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Phase 4 means everything is almost back to normal. The same thing would happen with the schools. So it's going to be a rollout based on the numbers. We start with universal capacity, then we'll have the younger kids coming in first, allowing them to come into the schools physically. If that works out well, then they'll add the middle schoolers. And then if that works out well, then we have the high schoolers. Right. It's important to, I feel they're doing it in that way because, in terms of childcare, the younger ones need childcare more than the high schoolers. So they're the last to enter back into school. So that would help parents be able to get back to work. Okay, she is here. Iesha.
Yes.
I'm here.
Hello.
Thank you. We have our very special guest with us. We just wrapped up with our medical minutes with Dr. Jaquita Agby. And for those of you who are just joining us, this is Harlem Network News. and I am Terri Wisdom, your host. And today we have one of our Harlem greats with us, and that is Sister Iesha Sekou of Street Corner Resources. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you are busy doing the work, and I know you were just spending a little time with your family today, which is very, very important and very critical. We respect that because though we as women are doing the work, like family is very critical.
Yes.
We know that you've been on with the mayor several times, but thank you for coming to Harlem Network News because we are Harlem. So if you would just share a little bit about what Street Corner Resources is, what you do, how long you've been in existence, and just bring us home to where we are today. So, yes.
So I want to thank you, Sister Wisdom. I really want to thank you. Today was a little hectic because I was trying to be on my normal family Zoom and spend some time with my mom. And so I'm sorry, because I'm trying to like make sure that I spend time with them because they always say I'm always working. So thank you for understanding that. So I'm happy to be here, Harlem Network News. I'm excited. So Street Corner Resources has, we received our 501c3 in 2005. And so we've been bringing education, employment, and training and other resources to young people in places that most folks wouldn't normally seek them out. And that would be like on street corners, and that's why it's called Street Corner Resources. And like in the blocks that are hardened blocks. And so we've been basically trying to help them to enhance their lives and get on track. But what we found was, as we were trying to help them, we found that more and more young people were getting gang involved. And not only that, many of them were losing life. And what we wanted to do was to be able to interrupt that and help young people have a better life, and that to know that they didn't necessarily need to be in a gang. A lot of that was because they need to feel a part of, almost like they needed family. And so we've been providing that kind of service, mentoring, helping young people with employment because we do have jobs, and we have legal aid. I'm happy that we have that because we can help young people with that. And we also help them to get back in school, and we provide a host of other wraparound services. We have a music studio where young people can make beats and learn how to engineer. And we have also cameras, the I Am Peace camera crew, and they can learn how to work cameras and that kind of thing, and take and photography. And we also have in the Peace Cafe, it's an open mic the last Friday of every month. And this place goes from being empty to the standing room only, with community members, young and older than that, playing instruments and just kind of being present with young people. And so, of course, we also do the anti-violence work, and that's really at the core of what we do, is try to prevent young people from becoming gun and gang involved.
Okay, if you would share just a little bit about this Peace Cafe, where it is, when it is, because Harlem is one of those places that sometimes there are things going on around the corner and we all don't know it. So
That's right.
That sounds incredible. So if you would just share.
Yes, so the Peace Cafe, the wonderful thing about the Peace Cafe, it is free. It is free, FREE. It is a community engagement event. It's to bring young, older folks together with talent, and some with a little talent, and some with a lot of hope. So we provide the stage. And so there are some young people, I remember when they started, they didn't sound that great, but they kept coming and they sound better, and they developed the relationships and people who could help them with their singing and that kind of thing. So the Peace Cafe is just an open place. You can come and sign up to perform, or you can sign up ahead of time so that you know that you get to perform, because now it's becoming very popular. So we've had an older guy come and play the saw. He was from down south, and he plays this saw, and the kids were like they were floored by it. They were like, what? They were going crazy. And he invited them while he was playing to freestyle rap. So this is a man almost 80 years old.
Okay.
And young people, 17, 18, and 20, rapping to him playing the saw. And then there's another gentleman that brings a flute. And so it's a whole, array of talent. We never know what's going to show up. We're always surprised. Now people are coming from Philly and Delaware, young people to grace the stage, and young people are coming from all over across the boroughs. And we're happy about that because they're not coming to fight or anything like that. They're coming for peace. They know that this stands for peace, so we have a way of being. There's no use of the M word or degrading women or men or people because of their choice in life. None of that. It's all about everything being positive. So it's the last Friday. It's the last Friday of every month. Yes. And it's at 233 West 140th. But during COVID time, we're doing it virtually. So people can go like our page at Street Corner Res on Facebook, and also follow us at Street Corner Res on Instagram. So you'll see all of the flyers, and even for other events that we do. We just had a town hall with the mayor, with young people, where they were talking about community policing issues and just bad policing and what kind of policing that they would like to see in the community. And that went very, very well. But those kinds of events you can find on our Facebook page if it's open to the public.
Okay, so that sounds phenomenal. And what I'd like to know, because I know that, now, like, we are seeing you, like, on all of our networks, the mayor, you've become, like, the advisor and, the person leading the way. But this is not new. What was your initial motivation? What had you decide in 2005 that we now needed to start this Street Corner Resources?
Well, I'll tell you, actually, I was working with young people long before I named the organization Street Corner Resources. So this has been my work over the last 30 some odd years. I was an adult educator by first profession. I'm a teacher. I've done a radio show for over 25 years. And I guess your question is what made me decide to. So I didn't lose a child. A lot of people think that I did. I did not. I saw a lot of children lose life. I ran a welfare to work program in the city and for the city called Begin. Begin Employment, Gain Independence Now was part of the Welfare to Work initiative. Most of the people who were on public assistance that were being mandated to come in were women. And it was women who were raising their families, and they were raising sons. And those sons were getting caught up in gang activity. And then we found out that we had to help them figure out resources so that they can bury their sons. And it just made me think more about, like, how long are we going to keep doing this? And I felt like I needed to do something. And then I saw a little bit during that same time, I saw like 2 13-year-olds get murdered. And one young man's name was Scotty Scott. I remember that one, 141st Street. And they shot him in the head. And he was 13 years old. And so I just said, I have to do something. And then there were so many others, very ugly situations, but I knew I needed to do something. And Street Corner Resources was the answer to the call to do something.
Okay. And how large is the organization? Do people graduate from it? What are some of the boots on the ground work that's being done with the Street Corner Resources?
Right. Yes. So we have a cure violence contract with the city out of the Office to Prevent Gun Violence. And we have over, I would say about 20 people on staff. We just got a social distancing, received the social distancing contract, which we were already doing social distancing, but we were given the money to do that and to expand the staff to do that work. So one of the things that we do is social distancing. We have a group of young people who are able to go into the community and provide masks. And we also provide cups at these illegal cookouts because people are having them anyway, and we want them to protect themselves.
Okay.
And so we do that, but we also have an outreach team, and it's called the Speak Peace Forward outreach team. And we're in the community in the dark of the night and during the day, just creating relationships so that we don't see people lose life.
Okay.
You know, it's all about interrupting and de-escalating the violence. So we have that as well. And like I told you a little earlier, we also have the wraparound services, music studio, Peace Cafe, legal aid. We have a mental health program where we have counseling, and we have 2 counselors in that program. We have a mobile unit, and they call it the mental health trauma unit, but we call it the Peace Beast. And so we offer counseling and resources on that unit. It's a big mobile van, 35 feet long, and we move it around the community, and people can access resources. During COVID time, we used it to just show presence in the community, to say this is where you can get your mask. And we educated people around decreasing the spread of the COVID virus.
Okay. And what types of counseling are you provided? Does someone have to have an appointment? You know, we want to make sure that the community is informed. And for those of you who are just joining, this is Harlem Network News coming to you live, and we're very, very honored to have Sister Iesha Sekou of Street Corner Resources with us. And I do see that our Assembly member, Reverend Al Taylor, has joined. I don't know if we're going to see him, but I'm pretty sure we're going to hear him, and I hope you can hear me, Reverend Al Taylor. But if you would just let us know what types of counseling are available on your Street Corner Resources bus, and I have definitely seen the bus. Yes.
Oh, thank you. So we have a variety of counseling that's available. We look at our counselors as credible clinicians. One is a licensed social worker and licensed counselor, LMSW. And so we offer an array of services around counseling. We've counseled people who have had loss and are grieving, people who are feeling overwhelmed, just overwhelmed with life and some of the struggles and things that they have to go through. Some who find it difficult to manage their children and need just support and help and guidance around how to do that. And of course, with our young people, we have regular counseling that is ongoing as part of our programming. And it's just, you know, some group sessions and also individual counseling just to check in with them and see how they're doing and how we can continue to help them to improve on their lives.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yes, they should call, but if they're in crisis and we're open, they can walk in.
Okay, thank you. And we have had, obviously, Harlem is a village and it's a community, and you know, you're everywhere. We have a borough president, Gail Brewer, who is also everywhere, and a lot of our public officials, if it's happening, you all are there. But I do remember this is a few years ago when we had a vigil for a shooting that happened in front of a restaurant right on 124th, and there was Reverend Williams was there, and you were there, and you know, God rest his soul. And you know, so I know that you're on the scene. And the most recent time was out at Harlem Hospital when there was just a honoring and a support for all of our essential workers and our doctors. And we had drumming and sage was burning, and there you were in the middle of it. But one of the things that I was so very impressed with, which I knew and didn't know, is that you said when there's a shooting, you work very, very closely with Harlem Hospital. So when there is gun violence, you all actually show up at the emergency rooms. So would you just share a little bit?
Sure. I'll just update you. Last night, so we occupy Street Corner Resources. Actually started the Occupy that you see more people beginning to do nowadays, which means that we take a hardened area where shooting or loss of life has happened, and we put our time there and our presence. So as recent as last night, we were responding to the hospital because we heard that we got word from NYPD that 8 shots had been fired on 131st and 7th Avenue. And so we had to respond to make sure no one was hurt or lost life. So we found after many discussions and waiting to see if anyone came in that there was no one that got hit, but 8 shots were fired. We respond to the hospital on a daily basis, whether there's, especially when there's a shooting, brutal beating, stabbing, act of domestic violence, right? We respond, but we respond every day anyway. We do a check-in. So even if we didn't get a call that there was a shooting, we check to make sure that there's, not anyone overlooked, so that we can make sure that they're okay and offer them our services. So we have a contract to do this. So we're contracted with Harlem Hospital to provide services, and also to make sure that there's no retaliation. So we check the hospital at least 2 to 3 times a day. And when we're not checking it directly inside during COVID, we are on the phone checking with the trauma unit to make sure no one's in there that's been brutally beaten, stabbed, shot, or a victim of domestic violence.
Well, as I said, we celebrate you. This is Harlem Network News coming to you live. If you are not able to watch this right now live, we always keep everything up on our Facebook. We also have harlemnetworknews.com, where we have current articles coming up daily, and we're on YouTube. So knowledge is power. We want to get that knowledge to you. And though I have known and seen Sister Iesha in action for many years, I'm still learning about all the things that she does, and contracts and all those great things. And we're going to come back to you, Sister Iesha. Don't go anywhere. But I know that our Assembly member, Reverend Al Taylor, is on with us. And I know he's coming off a Zoom off of his church. You know, he's also an Assembly person, and he's got to get to Albany, where he found that it was important for him to come and talk with us. And he has been our soldier that started the public officials coming and talking on Harlem Network News, and he makes himself available. We have some great warriors and soldiers and soldierettes in our community, and Reverend Al is one of them. Do you want to share? Because I also understand that, and these are just numbers, I'm getting them off of major media, don't know if they're correct, but I'm hearing that the deaths and gunshots and all of that are up 50% from last year. And for whatever reason, the COVID has just like made this just happen even more. I don't know if it's COVID, I'm not sure what it is. You know, we are in the middle of Black Lives Matter. And I heard Reverend Al Sharpton say yesterday, yeah, Black Lives Matter, and it doesn't matter who's shooting, our lives matter. So we got to take care of us. We got to get on top of stuff. And I'm still irate that some Black woman came up to 125th and destroyed our mural consciously, rolling with her car, and the same person that did the Trump Towers. And obviously, she doesn't understand what's really going on. Okay? That mural was paid for by our sisters up here. The mayor didn't pay for that. Our artists drew that on the ground, a labor of love, and it's an affront to come to our community like that. That's not how we roll up here. We look out for each other. There may be gunshots, but trust me, for the most part, if something's happening to you, somebody's gonna help you, because Harlem is a village and it's the Mecca. So you're out of order, sister. You're out of order. okay? And we got to say that. You know, obviously, you need some learning, some teaching, some healing, some something, but you're out of order.
That's right.
Call it out. That's what we do. Okay, and you want to come on the show and talk to me, I'm gonna tell you you're out of order because you need something. You need something. So, Reverend Al Taylor, talk to us.
Peace and blessings, my sisters. Peace and blessings. It is great to be with so many dynamic women. My grandma would say, Sister Terri, she need a little bit more than that. But you know, and she in the right neighborhood where she could actually get some of that. I got that call about 5 minutes to 11 this morning as I was preparing my sermon, and I shout out to Chaplain Rice, and he was at his wit's end, and I was like, brother, I got you. Fall back, because anyone, and I know the labor and the sacrifice that it took to bring those resources to make that happen. But if anybody loses their mind over the paint and don't remember what the real big issue is, we're in real trouble. The real trouble is, as you indicated, and you know, one of the things as a clergy, people give the devil more credit than he's actually done. Ain't no way in God's green acres that we ought to be shooting each other under anybody's circumstances. Death is final, and we don't have a right to take anybody's life under any circumstances. And I applaud my sister Iesha Sekou for what she's doing and what she has been doing. She's, as on the block, they say she's true to this game. She's been doing it for more than a minute. Seems like it was over a decade ago that she and I first connected on the streets doing work at night. You mentioned my good friend, Reverend Williams. Yeah. And I always tell this story when we mentioned his name. Like, when I first met him, he's like breathing that fire like Iesha. And I'm like, can't we all get along, right? And I'm like, so he and I started talking, and we both were NIAC graduates in seminary. So I'm having this dialogue with him, and we got together, and I really was feeling his passion. So one evening, Sister Terri, he says, hey, Al, we got some problems here at St. Nick House. So the folks at St. Nick are trying to get at the people on Linux trying to get at St. Nick. Can you come through? So I called my brothers from the nation, called a couple other brothers, and we did. Because when people are laying out on the street and parents have lost a loved one, they don't want to know your denomination. They want to know, are you true to transforming our communities? And there are a lot of people of different backgrounds, believers and faith leaders, that want to see transformation. We get out there, and we're out there for several hours. And we're trying to stop that group from coming over. It's almost like a West Side Story. They're coming up that block. Oh, we got a call. Let's run over there, catch them. 1:32 in the morning, we finish. Another time, we're over on one of these churches on Fifth Avenue. Somebody wants to do a party. The people let them use the place. And I said, Rev, so what are we doing? He said, we searching every last one of them. They go in and out of the party. I said, Rev, they went in like 10 minutes ago. You go back. He said, I don't care. They came out. We checking them down again. Like security, like literally like you going to a club. So I miss my brother Williams. I eulogized him. Blessings to his wife and his family. He's got some shoes to be filled. But the takeaway was, on one of those occasions, I'm like, Lord, just take us through. And I gave him some dap and hugged him that night as we were leaving. And he had this body armor on up in the chest area. I'm like, he said, Al, you don't know? I said, no, I'm trusting Jesus. He said, me too. He told me to get prepared. So he had a vest on, and I'm like, Lord, you're going to see me through. And anytime I would get ready to tell a story, he said, shh. But no, I missed that brother. We worked a lot together, like Sister Iesha. There is enough work in the street for everybody to get their hands in. It's not about who got acknowledged, who didn't get, because collectively, we're all in this together. Resource-wise, you're getting 10 cents, 8 cents to the dollar, and it's being left for all of us to share. The real transformation and economic development that we need to transform the engines that's going to drive our community are not there, and that's why the BLM is out there. Big shout out to Sister Iesha. I hope you're getting a little bit of rest. Every now and then, we got to sneak those power naps in. So I got to jump off this Zoom, get on another Zoom. I'm working with these young folks, and they reached out to me from Trenton, and one is down in the East Village. And there's going to be this conversation with the the police officer from Camden, the commanding officer, in his narrative and how well they've not had any issues, not in the sense of, not that they don't need the demonstrations, but there's not a wave of violence in one of the worst cities in the world. And so we're going to have a quick shout out when I jump off here. I want to share this information. If you go to HCR, New York Housing Community Renewal, there is right now, and the window open, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, but it is relief. It's going to be rent relief program, and it's only about $100 million. And people need to fill out that application. If they need some help, reach out to my office, reach out to Senator Brian Benjamin. Those dollars are going to really make a difference. It's not enough. And we're going back to Albany to see if we can get some more and a couple other different things. But the work is on. I don't know if you are aware, if you've gotten the whiff. There's a tribute this afternoon at 6 or 6:30, I believe it is, at the Black Lives Matter mural for the late Representative John Lewis. So that's taking place as well. So I haven't made it up the road yet. So I'll leave here, jump on another Zoom, hit there, and then I'm going to Albany so we can shut down.
Okay.
But thank you.
Our Black Lives mural here in Harlem, the tribute to John Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. It's 6 o'clock, and that's what I was talking about. A lot of times we don't all know exactly what's going on here in Harlem, so that's why it's really important for everybody to share. And Reverend Al, if you would just share briefly, because you were talking about doing a prayer walk that's going to start on the 28th. What is that about? And
Iesha, Iesha already knows. Iesha, we just going back. You know what I mean? We're taking it back.
And I think that it's wonderful.
2008, and you know what happens? And I'm thinking, and I'm talking to Sister Iesha, I'm talking to people around me, and everybody wants to do this. So what are you going to do about that? I'm like, what are you willing to do? Right? Because no one can do this by themselves.
No.
I get you're blaming over there, but what's your role? What are you playing? And then God was speaking to me. He said, we've been here before. You did this. Why don't do that? Why don't you guys do that again? So July 29th at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. and all the way up until Labor Day weekend, we will walk through the community from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Anybody, my grandma said, whosoever will want to join us, come on. And we're not saying anything but, hey, I got some water in my wagon. I got a straight up red wagon. I got masks. I got gloves, right? We have resources. And you know what? God has increased our territory. So now, you know what? People say, oh, he's an assembly person. So I can't, when I was just Joe Blow, I was just rocking the Polo Ground, Wrangell Houses, St. Nick, Grant, and those places with men doing the prayer walk. So I'm inviting anybody that wants to do the same thing. Just put your little knapsack together. And if you don't have any resources, call Street Corner Resources.
Yes,
We'll give you a little bag. You know what I'm saying? We'll give you a to-go bag. You go on your block. You can call me too, but I'm just saying, since I'm talking resources, Street Corner Resources.
Yes.
Jump up there, call us, reach out. We'll give you a little knapsack with some stuff in it, and you can walk a 5-block radius, even if it's only an hour, but you're on your block saying, hey, how you doing? Can I give you water? You may get cussed out a little bit. If you got thin skin, this ain't for you. Go on, just stay on where you're at. But if you have a desire to see transformation in your neighborhood, on your block, you be the change that you want. If not, call us and we'll come up that way, but we're going to do the whole district. And you say, well, Al, how can you do that? Why do you think you could do that? Let me tell you why, Sister Terry. I walked from New York City to Chicago, 780 miles. My district is not 780 miles. I will walk my district. My team and I, and whosoever want to join, will be throwing on shirts. The shirts say, stop the silence. That has so many connotations because churches have been quiet for so long. Pastors have driven in and gone back home. And they were, Lord bless you real good. No, you need to come up in here and do what you need to do. And to stop the silence is we ourselves as community residents have been silenced too long. Well, the police. In fact, honestly, even when we change that narrative of what it looks like, we've been hoodwinked and believe that we need something. When you talk about cut that back, no. I love what Sister Iesha said. I'm a quote her, paraphrase. She said, listen, we'll go out and do our job. Police, you still got to do your job. Don't ask us what to do. You already know what to do. Do it. And we're doing our part. And collectively, we'll meet in the middle. I paraphrased her, right? And that's how it works. That's exactly how it worked. Like, she's not a stranger to me. Like, everybody look at her like, oh, man, this sister's amazing. Look what she got. Girl, I remember when she didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. She was like, Al, I'm on the street. We'll be out there at 1 o'clock. Meet me on the corner of 129th and 7th Avenue. You got an extension cord? Can somebody bring some water? In a sandwich. What? And that's how we did it. And then when I was trying to do something, she was like, Al, I'm going to bring my crew up. We got the back room. We would turn it into Friday Night Live. But if we don't give a hoot about our community, nobody's coming in on a horse or a silver bullet or anything that's going to transform it. We got to do the work. We got to put it in. And if we're not doing that, then shut up and get out my way, because I got something to do. Straight up.
So,
That's
I mean,
right.
it's a great thing. And I mean, I live here. I've been here the past 40 years. I've seen all of the transformations in Harlem. But regardless, Harlem is a great place.
Word.
Very powerful. It really is a space of love, and it's a space of community. But COVID has really had us have to come to terms with a lot of things, and really even more so take back our community. That is the blessing of the COVID situation. Just because it has pulled a lot of scabs off of stuff that was already there, it has really shown the racism. It has shown the economic disparity, which we must speak about. I was down with the 400 Foundation that Reverend Reginald Backus.
Big shout out.
Yeah, of the Abyssinia Baptist Church. He's the associate pastor. And there were a few other ministers and some of our business people, and they started at the African Burial Ground. This was Wednesday, and they marched to City Hall. And really the call was for economic equity. And they had the numbers up. The numbers are outrageous. That if there was $32 billion that was allotted to businesses in New York City, 0.03, not even 1% went to Black businesses. That is an outrage. We pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? So these are things these are the conversations that need to be had. These are the changes that need to happen. And it's the changes that we need to demand. Because no matter how much Black Lives Matter, or whatever we paint on the ground or whatever we talk about, and I'm reaching out, I'm saying it every day in every way, that there is a commission that the mayor has put together on race. I want to know who's on it. Are any of the community people on it? And we need transparency on that, because a lot of money was put into that. And in most instances, a lot of those dollars do not come down for us. Harlem Network News, we need support. We need us supporting us so that we can continue whatever funding, grants, different things that are happening, because Harlem Network News, and you can go to harlemnetworknews.com and make a donation, or if you know about funding that is good for an organization for us, please let us know, because the major media is not often covering what is happening up here. I saw them do something about Black Lives Matter in Brooklyn, where the paint got put on too, but maybe there was a delay, but there was nothing about Harlem. Inexcusable. You know what I'm saying? It's a drama. Right. It's inexcusable. I heard about the Black Lives Matter because I was on the virtual Abyssinia Baptist Church, and Reverend Butts kind of mentioned it, but he didn't say where. Next, I got an email from the press. Okay, and there's actually a link where you can go on YouTube and you see this woman organizing everybody and saying, open up the paint cans, and then we're going to take these barricades down. I mean, we do live in this virtual age right now, but we have to stop the attack on our community.
That's right.
There are infiltrators who are paid. We know back in the 60s when it was the Panthers, you go to the court and see who the Panthers are, and half of the people were paid by the FBI or whoever it was. So we need to stay conscious. We need to stay vigilant. We need to speak what the truth is. But the economic empowerment is the key, because even a lot of the violence that's happening, the guns, the gangs, it's because people are the have-nots. You know what I'm saying? And that in itself makes for a situation of stress. You know, it makes for a situation of frustration, you know, and that is how you get, you know, this violence happening, you know, everything else. So we have to look at it across the board, speak about what it is, you know, reparations is a real thing.
Yes.
And that's probably the only thing that is going to level the playing field. It's not giving the money to a few, you know, who are the business people who are going to get it anyway. Everybody's going to get it to change the game. So, Sister Iesha, if you just would like to say a few words, is probably that I haven't asked you, and tell us a little bit about your radio show as well, you know, because that's another platform and you've been doing that for many years as well. So please share with us, because I'm sure I didn't ask you everything I should have. But I think
you asked a lot, and I know I talk a lot.
All right.
Those kind of goes together. Right? So, you know, just to support my mom, because she showed me my report cards from way back when, and every report card said she talks too much. So
Word.
I said, see, it pays off, you know. So I'm blessed to have been doing a radio show for over 25 years. Yeah, wow.
What's the name of the show? Let everybody know, please.
It's called Street Corner Resources Live. It was first named Harlem Live. And so I will be doing a podcast that'll be Harlem Live. But right now the show has been renamed, and it's Street Corner Resources Live, to support the work of the organization, and of course to talk to many folks about what they do. So I'd love to have you on at some point to talk about what you're doing. So the other thing is, you know, I have to, I'm really grateful for people like State Assemblyman Al Taylor and Assemblywoman Inez Dickens, who like really was, you know, with me and supported the work and saw the vision and, you know, encouraged me. Also, State Senator Brian Benjamin, who supported the work, and he said, don't worry, we're going to figure out this mobile unit thing. And while the Mayor Bill de Blasio did fund the mobile unit, State Senator Brian Benjamin funded our technology for the unit. So I'm just grateful for each and every person and everything that they poured into me and gave to me, and that they have been true to this work. So I really just encourage people, because I know I'll tell people to meet us on the street, and people will, you know, say, oh, well, I'm coming. And, you know, last night we were on the street. We occupy every Friday and Saturday. We're occupying the streets. We are in places where shootings have happened. So we had an Occupy with the mayor. Tons of folks showed up, like it wasn't even elbow room, which was beautiful. But we occupied last night, and some of those folks, and I'm not talking about those of us like myself and Al and Brian, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the folks who say that they live in the community and they don't normally do this work. I'm encouraging them to come and do it for real. This is not a show. It's really not. And I know I have to pray sometime and say, God, you know, stay with me, because when people think that this is a show, this is the way to get media, I have an issue with that, because these young people that are getting shot is somebody's baby. And if they saw the real side of this work, they would say, you know what, you all just do that. Or they would come and be true to this work. So I'm encouraging people to be true to this. If you want to come out, be true, leave an open space where you can learn what this work is and what it takes and what's happening to our children. Our children are losing life on the street. Last night we were on 143rd. It was going to be a big cookout. I counted 20 babies on the side of the sidewalk where I was. They told me on the other side, there were a whole bunch of children running around, and this cookout was getting bigger and bigger. But we were able to manage it with the presence of NYPD, and they just stayed in the vehicles, and we had talked to the OGs, you know, the old gangsters that were out there, and asked them to hold the line with us. And as a matter of fact, I got a text this morning from one of them saying thank you. So our work is in the community, real engagement, not waiting for the media to show up is nice. If they do and they can tell about the work, that's beautiful. But we need to do this work because it's our babies, it's our community, and not to do it as public relations stunts. So I'm just encouraging people to come out and occupy on real days that we need to occupy. Somebody called me and said they were going to occupy on Monday. Well, ain't nobody out there on Monday because they hung out the whole weekend. We need people to occupy on days that our community needs support. And we have to be real about it. If you're just doing it so that the media will follow you or come out, don't come here with that.
Word.
Come here. No, I'm serious. I have to have this conversation with somebody this evening because we can't play with something this serious. This ain't that. Don't play with this because some mother is crying. I got a call from Gio's mom. Remember where we were at the vigil?
Yeah.
She called me day before yesterday. It was Friday. And you know what she said? I said, how you doing? She said, I haven't felt right since my baby died.
Of course.
See, that's what and I'm a mother and a grandmother. This ain't to be played with. So we have to stay committed. Commit to something. Don't just come to this because you want to be seen. Commit to something else that you think that you can do well that will empower our young people, empower our community, or make our community stronger. Whatever that is. Plant some flowers. You understand? Open a business. Share how you can play an instrument. Teach another kid to do that. That will keep them away from violence. But don't get up in this for show. This is not the show. And so I've had to say that a few times because I take this work serious. Everybody's saying, oh, well, you're all over the media. The media came to me. They hunt me down. Right. And I'm grateful. It's not that I'm not grateful. We need what we do to be in the public's eye so that we can get more help to stop it, whether it's funding, other resources, improvement on how NYCHA housing supports violence because it is unkept. It has people stacked up on top of each other. So these are things we all have to work on. That's why I'm saying everybody got a place to be in this work. So I don't want to over talk it, but we all have something that we could do, big or small, using our, giving somebody a hug, letting them use our ear so that we can hear them, help them get a job, comfort the mother, whatever it is, provide a microphone or a megaphone for a kid to do some rap or something, anything. So we just have to bring our community.
One thing COVID has also brought out in us is that we know that we are a creative people and quote, we know that we are the people that have made the lemonade out of lemons. And honestly, Harlem Network News is something we have been thinking about for a long time, but COVID had us jump started out of necessity, and out of struggle. So we just have to keep going. And
that's right.
Sister Iesha, because you've been at this for a long time, and to get to the point where you've been able to actually, make some resources available, that is incredible. The fact that you have been on the major media, that they have seen that this was important, that's huge. And, some of it, because the violence is real and the death is real and the numbers are going up. But the other thing that happens is that a lot of other things that are positive in our community are not really being shown.
That's right.
And so if it's like somebody was shot up or something, that's going to be all over them.
That's right.
That's something that we have to look at because that impacts people's thinking. It impacts what is happening. Another great thing, and I'm going to try to have them on, the Park to Park people who did the Black Lives mural. They will be next week.
They did a great job.
They did. It's amazing. And that's like 4 Harlem women. They will be on next week to really talk about what has happened. And, not that they're younger, but they are, I believe, and I don't know exactly how old, but they're more millennium. So they were here when we were going through the late 60s and this and that and the other. So some of the things that are coming at them, seem a little bit shocking. Like, how does 4,000 bikers come up to Harlem without any
and ride over the mirror.
roll over their stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be conscious, and there are people in our community. The Nation of Islam is here. There are all kinds of groups. Our brother Imam Yusuf Hassan that does the African American Day Parade. There are people who have, you know, done stuff in Harlem for a long time. So when you're doing something, you got to reach out to all the factions, no matter
That's right.
you know, denominations are, because we have to work collectively together to protect ourselves. And
That's right.
That's just goes without saying. You know, also there's something else that's coming up great. For those of you who are just joining, this is Harlem Network News. But one of the subcommittees of Community Board 10 is working with, and it's public information, is working with the Exonerated Five to begin the process of putting a monument of some kind in
Central Park.
Yes, for the Exonerated Five, and we have started meetings. We've had 2 meetings so far, and Dr. Yusuf Salam and his mother, Ms. Salam, have been on the calls, and we will be having another meeting on this coming Thursday. It'll be the final meeting, but then we're going to need the community to rally. I believe that the Central Park Conservancy is open to it, but it's us who's got to make it happen. We've got to
That's right.
that be installed in Central Park. We're due. I know that there is a statue that's going to be installed with women, and you know, it's women of the suffragettes, but Sojourner Truth is included in that. So that is a blessing, but we just at the beginning, you know, because I did see the Seneca Village exhibit, which Seneca Village is where all the Black people were living in Central Park, and their homes were bulldozed. You know, that exhibit is temporary. That exhibit should be, there's no reason for it not to be forever. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we've got to demand, because we forget this is not a handout. You know, we are taxpayers here. You know,
Right.
when it was time for our 40 acres and a mule, we did not get it. But the Homestead Act was passed, and all kind of immigrants came and were given money and given land, and you know, these are the things that are happening. So I'm going to go to our Millennium Doctor, which is Sister Dr. Jaquita Aggie, and I just would like you to just reflect on what you heard, and you know.
Sister Wisdom, I'm going to have to sign off.
Okay, it's that
I want to say thank you for having me.
Okay,
And let's talk soon.
we will.
Okay?
We will.
All right.
I will call
Thank you so much.
we can do if there's something that happens and you want us to talk about it, promote it, we're there. I would love to be on your show, and
Yes.
I'm going to learn from you how to make all these things happen.
Peace and blessings.
Okay.
Much love. Thank you.
Okay, great. Glad to give you more than the 1 minute. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, dear. Okay.
All right. So we're signing off. You're signing off. Yes, that was very inspiring. Reverend Al Taylor and also Sister Iesha, and the work that they're doing on the front lines in the community. I feel like as I'm trying to transform lives down in Florida, I'm so thankful just to see that there are people doing it in a different way, where they're working on the violence that's occurring within Harlem, the Harlem area. I feel like that is definitely a template. What they're doing is a template for other cities, urban cities to follow, or to mimic or follow, because it's actually making things different or better for the people in those communities. Just want to sign off and say that remember to be vigilant, remember to be patient, remember we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and it's not over it's over. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Agby, for being a constant and really making a difference, just with the knowledge, the medical knowledge that you're bringing, as well as absorbing everything that is happening. And this is what this is about. Knowledge is power. I also would like to give an acknowledgement to the International African Arts Festival, Harlem Network News. We simulcast with them yesterday, and it was amazing. We had, like 1,000 people on our simulcast, and it was festival. It's festival virtual, and we are going to be looking towards the. I'm not sure about the Caribbean Day Parade. I'm pretty sure they're going to do a virtual too, but I don't have the information on that yet. But the African American Day Parade will be virtual on September 20th, and Harlem Network News is involved in that broadcast, so we're looking forward to that. So it's just about evolving, and it's very, very critical. That's what we're doing. If you missed the International African Arts Festival yesterday, it is still up on our Facebook. It is up on their Facebook. You can make a donation on International African Arts Festival.com. You can also please donate to Harlem Network News so that we can continue doing this great work. But significantly, there were some speeches because it was festival, and they had the Garufuna band, and they had, another incredible jazz band, the Harper Band, that did a tribute to one of our great jazz artists that passed away, Onaje Allen Gums. So it was just amazing. They had a group from Senegal that did a Black Lives Matter thing. It was very, very powerful and empowering. But there was some speeches that they had that everybody needs to listen to. It was Dr. Martin Luther King, and it was speeches that you have not heard, that you need to hear, because it was really Dr. King leaning towards reparations and economic empowerment. And that is what is required. That is what is required. That is the underpinnings of some of the challenges that we are having. And of course, culture being at the base. When we understand who we are and whose we are, then there's a transformation. And certainly anybody who is rolling in Harlem, who is a Black woman, and throwing red paint on our Black Lives Matter, because that's the real deal. That's not paid for by the city. That's our artists. That is ours. So it's like when you come for us, it's another kind of thing. So you need some help, sister. You need help. Okay? And you were yelling Jesus while you were doing it. So you really need some help. So we're just going to pray for you, and we're praying for all of us, but we want to change those minds. We want to have the young people get the understanding and the concept of what's really happening, and that it does take a village, and it's intergenerational. And we will leave today with saluting Sister Iesha Sekou, and also Reverend Al Taylor, our assembly person. And I want to say that Sister Iesha is keeping it real, because though she's standing next to the mayor, and though they've now suddenly had her on, New York One and Channel 7 and all that, no, she came to Harlem Network News and she kept it real. So that's what it's about. So anyway, Harlem Network News, your host, Terri Wisdom, Dr. Daquita Agby. Please go to harlemnetworknews.com. And we are started with the prayer for our Dr. John Lewis and our Dr. Reverend C.T. Vivian, who passed away on the same day, on the 17th Civil Rights Greats. And I know that they are watching over us and they are guiding us. So lest we not forget. Harlem Network News, Terri Wisdom. Please contribute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great, great, great Sunday. And I'm going to leave here, and I'm going to get straight down to Black Lives Matter for the tribute to John Lewis, and a little bit of paint, as the Reverend Al Taylor said, that can't deter us. So I'm going to go down there and cover it so that everybody can be informed. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you. And please, each one tell one, okay? And each one teach one. HarlemNetworkNews.com. Terri Wisdom. Thank you. And you can find us on Facebook.